Jordan Ellis here for Low Kick MMA. Today I've got Nathaniel Wood with me. He fights on July 25th. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. I'm as good as I can be. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to put on a performance for you guys. So, I'm just going to get through this quarantine part of the job and then, get to the fun bit.
So how's training been going? Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world, and it's locked down, and it's been hard for some people. How's it been for you?
It's been okay. Obviously, when we was in strict lockdown, I was able to just get some stuff done at home. I had a little strength conditioning bit set up in the garden. Luckily enough, my dad's my striking coach, so I was able to do some basic fundamentals of my striking with him. I was able to stay in shape, go for runs, that sort of thing. And then, it's been 9 weeks or 8 weeks now, I think, since combat athletes were told we could train again. So, the fight camp's been normal. I'm fit, I'm in shape, arguably the best shape I've ever been in. So, I'm just ready to put on a performance and, show the world what I'm capable of.
So you say the fight camp's been normal. The people I've been speaking to have been saying either one thing or the other. They've been saying it's been a bit disrupted and not as clean as usual. Or some people are actually saying, I've actually had the best camp ever because there's been less people in the gym and it's more focus on me. So what way would you swing on that one?
I would say it's been better because I've had all the guys that I needed there regardless. So it just meant more mat space, it meant more time with my coaches, more one-on-one time as such. But it hasn't really had too much of an effect, The first, when we was in strict lockdown, that was when I had no fight booked, and that's when I was out camp and, it didn't really matter what I was doing. But, as soon as I got an opponent and a fight date, luckily enough, I was able to get in, get everything done and, be able to properly train and focus on my fight.
Great. And when it comes to weight, obviously it's going to be difficult because you're stuck in hotel rooms and you're traveling a lot. Is that something you've anticipated, and has any extra preparation gone in for that?
It's not really something I've kind of changed anything for. Like even today, I've done a workout. I've got a little bit of space in the room. So, I've done burpees, skipping, shadow boxing, just enough to kind of, burn some calories. I'm hoping, touch wood, it doesn't have too much effect on me because, usually at this point, my training starts to taper down anyway. It's only usually sort of road runs I'm doing and, just things like pads to get calories burnt. So, I didn't have a rest day the weekend just gone purely so that, I could, take a day off whilst we're doing all this traveling sort of stuff now. When I get to Abu Dhabi, the Fight Island, I'll be able to hit pads and that sort of stuff with my cornerman. So, I don't think 2 days will make too much difference. But yeah, it's definitely something we've kind of had to take into consideration and just be wary of. So, fingers crossed that, I'll keep the food menus away from me.
Fingers crossed. Just before we get into your fight, I just want to reflect on your last fight, which obviously didn't go your way against John Dodson. Now you've had some time just to, accept the loss and look back at it. How do you rate your performance? What went wrong on the night?
Well, I find that the first round, was going exactly how I wanted it to. I felt that I was edging the fight. The second round, I received a head clash, which split my eye open. And I remember looking up the screen thinking, shit, they're going to stop this fight. And I've had a fight stopped before from a cut. So, I really, really didn't want it to get stopped. And that kind of left me chasing him for the rest of the fight. I really thought I need to finish this fight quick, otherwise it's going to get stopped. And doing that just meant that, I left myself open, which is what happens sometimes when you're rushing to try and get that finish. You do leave yourself slightly exposed sometimes. And that was what happened. I always say, you live by the sword, die by the sword. And sometimes searching for the knockout in this game, you can also get clipped yourself. And I was still in the fight, but, the ref obviously thought he saw enough and, stepped in. So, hats off to John Dodson that night. But, I know if we got a rematch, it would be a complete different outcome. But yeah, it was his night on February the 15th. So, nothing but congratulations to him.
Yeah, obviously he's a top contender and he's been there, done that. How did you find it stepping up with that? Because that was a couple of steps up in level. How did you find it against John, besides obviously the result?
If anything, I think I thought more of him before the fight. So even though I lost the fight and I got caught in the third round, I kind of think to myself, is that it? You know, I think I was overestimating him. I don't actually think he was anywhere near what I was expecting, which obviously sounds very kind of contradicting because he did beat me. But, you know, the first round, the second round, I was kind of thinking, yeah, is this it? You know, this is a guy that's fought for the title twice. And, you know, he didn't, other than that last shot that he caught me with, didn't really, you know, cause me any issues, didn't cause me any problems. So, yeah, you know, if anything, it's just kind of been a wake-up call to say that, you know, I am supposed to be in there with the top of the division, because John Dodson's one hell of a fighter. So, you know, to be able to go in and fight him and feel comfortable really throughout the fight, you know, it's a good feeling. So, you know, I just got to keep doing my thing, and, you know, hopefully one day I'll get a rematch, and if not, you know, I'll move on to bigger and better things.
Well, it is on to the next one now, but you've had a bit of a time trying to get an opponent. So originally it was Umar Magomedov, and he's had to pull out of that fight. He was obviously making his UFC debut, so I just want to get your thoughts on what that fight would have, you know, really gained for you, because he is a UFC debutant and you're at the level of John Dodson. So what made you accept that fight? Is it just the name?
Well, no, for me, it's just I've got to compete, you know, and the UFC, my manager said to them, look, Nathan wants to fight, when can we fight? And they said, right, July 25th it is, cool. Who am I fighting? And they just come up with Umar Nurmagomedov. So, you know, I'm not a prima donna where I've got to say, no, I need the top 10 or this. You know, I've never turned down an opponent. I never will. So whether the UFC said to me, you're fighting a number one ranked guy or a debut guy, you know, it is what it is. I still get paid the same amount of money. So, you know, obviously when I looked him up, he's got like 700,000 followers. Obviously he's Khabib's cousin. So, you know, he's already got a huge name out there. So for me, it was still a good fight. It was still going to do something for my name. But yeah, you know, I'd rather fight someone that's had a few fights in the UFC. You know, the more respectful and more well-known they are in the UFC means that it does more for me. You know, I want to take fights that are going to get me up there. But, you know, I'm coming off a loss. So who am I to, you know, call the shots?
So once he did pull out and you're scrambling for an opponent, then was there any worries that the UFC wouldn't be able to find you someone?
No, because straight away, you know, the matchmakers said, look, don't stress. Umar Nurmagomedov's pulled out. We're going to get you someone else. And, you know, this Fight Island business, who's going to turn down that? You know, no one's going to turn down an opportunity to step in for the UFC, regardless of who they've got to fight. You know, most fighters will step in, even if it means, you know, coming in on late notice and having to cut a few more pounds than they would want to.
And there was a few guys who seemed to put their hands up to fight you and Jack Shaw, who was without an opponent as well. So I just want to run through a couple of names and just get your opinion or get your thoughts on how close them fights were to actually happening. So I know Cameron Else put his hand up and said he'd been offered a fight with both you guys. And then also Peter Yan said that both you and Jack Shaw turned down one of his cornermen. So just want to get your thoughts on that.
No, there's no turning down whatsoever. Cameron Else wasn't, unfortunately, on the list. I didn't get given 5 names. My coach got given 5 names, which he showed me, and I can't even remember the names of the guys. All I remember was there was John Castañeda, and I know there was, I think it was Jared Scoggins, I believe was a name. And I just got a list of names. So I didn't even look up the guys. You know, when Brad had sent me that, he had said, I've already looked up the guys and I think we're going to go for this one, which was John Castañeda, however you say it. And that was it. You know, I'm not going to tell my coach who to pick. And I'm definitely not looking up 5 guys. You know, I ain't got time to look up 5 people and study If you think if I look up an opponent and need to study him, I need to watch 1 or 2 fights of him. I'm not doing that for 5 guys, you know. So you know, Brad and my coaches, that's who they picked. As for Peter Yan, I don't even know who his cornerman was. As I say, there's 5 names, so I've got to pick one. Which, you know, as I say, I left that to my coaches. So, but yeah, Cameron Else wasn't actually on the list, unfortunately. If he was, I spoke to him actually the night before because I've actually got his number, and he said, "Bro, please pick me." And you know, I said, "Mate, 100%. Like, if you get your name on there, I'll pick you, and then that way it's your entry to the UFC." But you know, unfortunately, it wasn't on there, and you know, John Castañeda was, and the guy's got a great record. You know, I think that's why my coaches like the thought of me fighting him as well. You know, he's been in there and he's had more fights than me. So, you know, he's got a little bit more to gain than some of the other guys that were on that list.
There was a slight moment where Cage Warriors fans started to get excited, thinking you and Jack Shaw might face off. Was that ever something that was brought to the table?
It wasn't, but straight away I thought about it, and I didn't see how it would work because there was no way that I'm fighting a week earlier. You know, my weight cut and everything's set for one date, and I can't imagine that Jack would want to fight later than when he's supposed to. And the UFC's got so many guys that I knew they would just find someone for him, someone for me, because they don't want to take someone off a card, and they're a fight short of that fight card. So, you know, I never really thought they would actually ask me to fight him, which they didn't. But if they did, or if they had, you know, then I would have took that. This is the first time I've actually been given a few names, more than one. So it was quite a weird feeling to have a selection. You know, I felt like a bit of a superstar. Like, hey, yeah, you can pick which one you want. But that's why I just said to my coaches, you know, you lot deal with it, and I just fight whoever they give me. So yeah, unfortunately for John, he's facing me on the July 25th.
Yeah, so it is John Castañeda, and now you're settled on him. Have you had time to look at him and just what you're making him as an opponent?
Yeah, if I'm honest, I don't watch too much. I think I've watched 2 fights of his. The guy looks good, looks all rounded. I don't think he looks amazing anywhere. You know, I think it's a much easier fight than what I originally had with Omar. So yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to getting in there. I feel that I'm going to knock him out, and I feel that I'm going to do it in round 1. So, you know, I'm just coming for a nice 50 G's bonus because my missus, she wants to move out, and, you know, a mortgage in England. It's expensive.
So yeah, is that the route of it for you now? Is it just go out there and, you know, kind of throw hands and the knockout will come?
Yeah, I feel that he's going to be very hasty to get the fight over and done with because I can't imagine that he's in anywhere near as good shape as I am. And I don't feel that he'll be nowhere near as prepared as I am. So, you know, I feel like he'll think that, you know, he needs to get it done quickly before his gas tank starts to run out. And in doing so, you know, he's going to leave himself open. So, you know, if that is the case, I think it's going to be a very early night for him. And if not, you know, I'll slowly grind him away for the 3 rounds.
One of our guys on the site actually spoke to John a couple of days ago, and he seems to be thinking that he's in terrific shape. He's been preparing for Fight Island because he envisaged someone dropping out. He also seems to think that the guys you've been facing aren't really up to much in the wrestling jiu-jitsu department, and he thinks it's a very winnable fight for him, especially on the floor where he imagines he'll have the advantage. So I just want to give you a chance to respond to that.
Yeah, well, obviously he's going to say he's in the best shape. He's going to say that he's preparing for the fight, etc. But he asked for a catch weight. So that doesn't really sound like you're in the best shape ever and you've been preparing for it as much as you say you are. But yeah, if he is, great. But even if he had 9 weeks notice or 8 weeks notice, whatever, there's no way that he's trained harder than me. There's no way that he's coming in better shape than me. You know, my gas tank, I'll go on for days. So, you know, and as for the opponents, well, I faced better opponents than he has. You know, before the UFC, I was a Cage Warriors bantamweight champion. So, yeah, he hasn't probably seen much of my wrestling or my grappling skills. So, you know, that seems like he wants to take me down. So, you know, he's more than welcome to it. If I have to pick up another submission win in the UFC, then so be it.
Yeah, I think his point was is that a lot of the guys you fought in the UFC have kind of just give you the submission, and he thinks that he'll be able to fend you off and you know, probably have the advantage on the mat.
Well, that's the thing. The submissions I never look for, but there's a reason why people give me them, and that's because they don't like what they're receiving on the stand-up. You know, I don't have to search for a submission. I'll beat him out of him, and you know, I'll let him have an easy way out because he's not going to tap to strikes. So an easy way out is giving me a submission. You know, that's a way of him being able to get out of the fight without taking any damage. So, you know, we'll see come fight night, but I like his confidence, and we'll see if he brings that same energy on fight night.
Well, it's a very exciting division right now, and I just want to get your thoughts on the top of the division. Obviously, we had the title fight last week, and what do you make of Peter Yan as a champion now?
Peter Yan, obviously, you know, he's an absolute stud. You know, he's been smashing it since he's joined the UFC. He's had back-to-back fights, and you know, he deserves it. He works hard, obviously, and you know, congratulations to him. He is now the bantamweight champion, and that's got to be a surreal feeling. So, you know, I'm gutted for Aldo because you know Aldo is the man. I've been a fan of him since day one, but you know, sorry, mate, you still there?
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, congratulations to him, and you know, it must be a surreal moment to become a UFC champion.
I mean, it's quite busy at the top. A lot of people thought Aljamain Sterling should probably already be the champion after beating Sandhagen. So I just want to get your opinion on that whole title picture and how you think it should have played out.
It is what it is, but you know, now obviously Aljamain Sterling is next in line. That's how I see it. And if Henry Cejudo comes back or whatnot, I don't think he should be able to just step back in on the belt, because you can tell that he would have been doing it just to mess about then. You know, to me, when you retire, you retire. So if you want to vacate your belt and retire, cool. You have to go and, you know, have another fight to get back at that. I don't think he should just be given straight title shots. So, you know, I'm good friends with Aljamain Sterling. So, you know, I'm rooting for him to get that shot. And, you know, I'd like to think that he'll become the next bantamweight champion.
And beyond this fight for you, you know, all going well and you get a win, where are you looking at next? Obviously, in the lower part of the rankings, you've got a few really good young guys in, you know, Cheeto and O'Malley and Yadong. So is that where you're looking, or is what's your path from here?
If I'm honest, it's just to compete. You know, before when I was fighting Dodson, it was all about top 10. I need the top 10. And at the end of the day, I'm 27. I'm not in a rush. You know, I'll fight whoever the UFC give me. And, you know, if I'm honest, I'm kind of bored about talking about names, you know. I was calling for the Chito Vera fight for ages. The guy was not fighting me. You know, even Brian Kelleher started talking a bit of shit on Twitter, and, you know, that never materialized. So for me, it's just whoever the matchmakers give me, I'll fight them. And, you know, I just trust in the process and believe that eventually I'll be in that top 10 and, you know, working my way to the UFC gold.
Oh, that's great. Well, can't wait to see your fights. That's everything for me, unless you've got anything to add.
No, mate, that's perfect. Thanks for having me.
No, good luck with the rest of quarantine. Hope everything goes well, and good luck with your flight and the fight as well. Can't wait to watch you.
Lovely. Thank you, mate.
Bye now.
Appreciate it.